Good evening, everybody. This is our fourth installment in our virtual tasting series. Thank you guys for joining. Hopefully you guys have been finding these things interesting and informative. Today was a beautiful day here in the Okanagan. I hope I'm not offending anyone from other parts of the country that are dealing with snow and winter-like conditions. We do not have that here right now. It was 20 degrees outside today, sunny. Spent the afternoon working in the vineyard, tying down our vines. Absolutely gorgeous day. Get a little bit of sunburn going on too. So it's definitely a nice sign of spring. Before we get into tonight's tasting, just a quick reminder, we're tasting our Collusion 2018 tonight. We had two or three questions last week about what to do with wines that have that when you don't finish a bottle of wine, what you do with it. So I talked about two things, and I thought I'd just show you guys what they are. I'm sure most of you guys have seen these things before. You can find them at like Home Outfitters, the Bay, any place that sells kitchen type appliances and kitchenwares. You can find these things there. This is just a simple vacuum pump. It works for the short term. If you have a bottle of wine open for a day or two, just make sure you pump it out every couple of days to make sure that it's actually got no oxygen in the bottle. And the other thing I mentioned too was a can of inert gas. This is one brand that I found. I've been using this for wines that I drink and occasionally don't finish, which I joked about last week isn't very often. These come with a little straw that you stick into the nozzle, and then you put the straw into the bottle, give it a couple squirts, and it's an inert gas which is heavier than air, and so that gas settles onto the surface of the wine and prevents oxygen from hitting it. Again, this is probably better than your pump, but this isn't always easy to find. So these pumps are. Either one works, and anyways, don't let a wine sit open for too long. Anyways, you should be drinking it. Okay, what I thought I would lead off with tonight, we had a couple questions come in asking not so much about Collusion, but our blends in general. How do we decide what the blends are? And so I thought, well, given that Collusion's a blend, this is a perfect chance to kind of walk you guys through what we do when it's time to start thinking about the blends. We're now, I guess, almost 5 months post-harvest. Our Semillon is still resting in barrel. We're doing our bâtonnage that we talked about a couple weeks ago. That's that stirring of the lees every 2 weeks. But we're getting close now to starting to think about what our blends are going to be. So what I've done is I've pulled a tank sample of our 2019 Sauvignon Blanc and barrel samples of the mixtures of our barrels of the Semillon. And again, you can see the difference in color. The Sauvignon Blanc is crystal clear. The Semillon is cloudy. That's because of those dead yeast cells that we're resuspending into the wine. What we do, we call them bench trials, and it's a process that evolves over days, weeks, sometimes even months, where we just try different proportions of, in this case, Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon. So what I did is I've measured out 75% of our Sauvignon Blanc and 25% Semillon. It's a great place to start because last year's blend was 75-25. The year before that was pretty close to that. So that's a really good place to start. And then from this point, we'll taste it, we'll smell it, we'll judge some of the structural components like acidity and sweetness and finish, body. All those components we'll taste, and we'll make different proportionate blends. So maybe we'll do a 60-40, a 70-30. We'll do the whole gamut until we kind of land on that sweet spot. And that's the iterative process that really takes, in some cases, especially for a wine like the Syndicate, our red Bordeaux style blend, that can take over a month of trials. So that's our 2019. Yeah, wow, that's pretty juicy. Not sure we'll land on 75-25, but we'll see. All right. Let's get into the main event for the evening, which is our Collusion 2018. A good place to start, I guess, would be to talk a little bit about the vintage and what 2018 brought us as a growing season. If any of you guys spent time out here at all over the summer, you'll definitely remember that was the season of forest fires. And 2017 was a similar season. 2018 was pretty bad. And it kind of has a few effects on the wine. Some of them good, some of them not so good. I'll start with the not so good ones. Smoke taint. That's a pretty hot topic around the winemaking circles the last few years. It seems bushfires and forest fires, no matter where you are, whether it's Australia, California, Washington, BC, they're becoming more and more prevalent and more widespread. And the impact that can have on the grapes throughout that season can be significant. There's not a lot of research, surprisingly, yet to state whether smoke is going to have an impact or not. I attended a conference last summer, and some of the leading researchers on this topic were there, and the one thing they could all agree on was that there's nothing conclusive about smoke taint. There's a number of factors that will contribute to the potential of smoke taint, and that's proximity to a fire, intensity of the fire, what is actually burning around the vineyard, is ash falling down and landing on the grapes. There's a whole number of factors, but I'll summarize by saying that none of our wines from that vintage had any impact from smoke, which we're very fortunate on. Not everyone can say that, but we're lucky that we escaped any significant damage. On the good side, though, what a season like 2018 will do is it kind of moderates the temperature. There's a few things that the vines need throughout the growing season, besides water, nutrients, but they need sunshine and they need heat. And in some cases, it can get very hot here in a normal summer when we don't have smoke, sort of atmospheric level smoke blocking the sunshine. And when you have that high level smoke, it kind of has the equivalent of reducing the temperatures by about 2 degrees or so, 3 degrees, which can have a really good effect on certain varietals of grapes, but all grapes in general. But there's certain varietals that do very well with that. So I'd say as far as 2018 goes, that was the one bright side of all those forest fires. It actually had a pretty decent effect on the growing season and the conditions, the heat, sunshine, that sort of stuff. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you guys our back label here. I'll bring this bottle up close. Hopefully you guys can see this. Is that good?
A little bit closer.
So our backstory on our wine, it says 2 illustrious varietals, competitors on their own but better together. I want to lead, that's kind of a lead in to where this blend originated. And this is what people will call as a white Bordeaux or a Bordeaux style blend, a white Meritage. These two noble varietals, Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon, are standout wines on their own. They truly are. Sauvignon Blanc might be a little bit more prevalent around the world, and it's very much influenced by its region where it's made. You think of a Sancerre from France or Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. Very different styles from the same grape. Semillon is equally as great a varietal. It's actually commonly made into a sweet style, a dessert wine like they make in Sauternes. So each of these varietals really are standout varietals on their own. But in Bordeaux, they've been blending these two together for, well, probably since they've been making wine there. So our whole philosophy here is we've got 2 standout varietals. Let's put them together so that we bring out the best in both of them. And so that's kind of the reason why we have that backstory on this wine. We treat both of those varietals quite differently. Our Sauvignon Blanc, it comes from a vineyard in Naramata. When we harvest it, it's generally harvested earlier than the Semillon, which comes from Soyuz. But we're looking for a richer, more opulent style in that Semillon, which is why, even though it's further south and slightly hotter conditions, we're looking for a richer, riper wine. The Sauvignon Blanc we get from Naramata, we tend to pick that a little bit earlier in most years, and that's to capture some of the qualities that are really dominant in Sauvignon Blanc, like the acidity and that really bright citrus note. So when we bring the grapes into the winery, we do completely different things with them. We do whole cluster press both of them, but for a Sauvignon Blanc, all that wine ever sees is a stainless steel tank. I've done 1 year a small trial of Sauvignon Blanc barrel, which was really good, but this varietal really stands out with that fresh, clean, mineral-driven style. The Semillon, we actually press pretty much straight into barrel. And we use a combination of puncheons and regular size 225 liter barrels. And every year we have a proportion of new barrels, so we're getting that more toastier impact from the new oak. Once the wines have fermented in the tank or in the barrel, Sauvignon Blanc just essentially sits there waiting for the Semillon to be ready. And that Semillon, it can spend anywhere from 5 to 6 months in barrel. And once the textures developed and the flavors and the aromatics are all there, then we start working on the blends. And as we did 2 weeks ago, when I showed you guys what bâtonnage was, the stirring at the lees, we do that every 2 weeks on that Semillon to build the layers in the texture and the body, so that it adds some weight to this final blend. What we're looking for with this wine is a wine that's fruit forward. So although we have some oak aged Semillon, it's a supporting role, and by no means do we ever want oak to be the dominant flavor or the dominant aroma in this wine. We like the subtleness that it brings to it, but it's not the style that we're looking for with this wine. We want really good acid. This is a dry wine that we want to be really crisp and refreshing on the palate. So we're always looking for good acidity. And then that textural, the body that comes to this wine is what the Semillon is delivering to this blend, and that's that barrel aging that brings that. So why don't we open this up and have a taste. If you guys aren't aware already, the 2018 was 75% Sauvignon Blanc, 25% Semillon. And let's get this in our glass and give it a sniff. So there's some dominant flavors that are contributed by both of these varietals. So instantly, you can pull out the gooseberry, and that's a classic Sauvignon Blanc aroma and flavor. And there's a grassiness to it that can sometimes come from the Sauvignon Blanc, but can also come from the Semillon. There's definitely citrus. Like this is a vibrant, definitely a vibrant aromatic wine. So I'm getting definitely lime, lemon. You can, if you search, you'll definitely get some toastiness from the oak. But like it's not one of the primary aromatics we're getting from this thing. And then if you look at the color, there's a little bit of a yellow hue to it, and again that's coming from the Semillon. And I'll just show you quickly a quick reminder here. The Semillon definitely has that more of a yellow golden color to it from the barrel aging. So that's what's bringing a little bit more of the color to this blend. Let's taste it. Okay, so when I describe the style of this wine, yeah, that's bang on. Fruit forward for sure. You're getting definitely getting the gooseberry, a bit more of the citrus on the palate than you do on the nose. I would say tons of lemon, but not a tart, like a Meyer lemon, those cooking lemons that have that sweetness to it. Yeah. There's a little bit of melon in there, honeydew melon. And then, as I'm spelling this again, I'm getting like almost like a wet stone aroma to it that I think is coming through on the palate as a minerality, sort of a steely sort of character to it. And just a really, really subtle toasted caramel sort of note from that oak-aged Semillon. It's got a really long finish. Two things are contributing to that. The acidity, because I think we're about 7 grams per liter of acid in this wine, which is it's a nice level of acidity. That keeps the water flowing, the juices in your mouth flowing, which kind of lengthens the finish. And then the Semillon, that mid-palate weight that's coming from the barrel aging is really, really helping to keep that flavor lingering on your palate for a long time. Really long finish. Yeah, that's good. Okay, let's talk a little bit about food pairings. For cheeses, when we did our terroir cheese pairing, probably of all the cheeses we tried and all the wines that we tried them with, the standout pairing for all of them would have been Collusion with her cheese called Blue Velvet. It's a brie style, so it's a soft ripened cheese. But what's unique about this one is it's got a hint of bitterness to it, which really helps bring out some of the flavors, and it lengthens that finish when you have the cheese and then you take a sip of the wine. It's just an absolutely beautiful marriage. But any type of a soft, riper cheese that's maybe not too sweet, not too fruity, think more on the savory, nutty side for brie style cheeses, would definitely be a good match with this. And one of the things the dishes that we prepare often with this wine, it's just a simple flatbread with goat cheese and arugula, and we have some olive oil that's been infused with lemon, and you cook a flatbread with a fairly basic sauce on it, melt some goat cheese, put arugula on after it comes out of the oven, and just a light drizzle. And this really pulls out the citrus notes in this wine. Great. So hopefully you guys have been able to taste along. If you guys have questions, now would be a really good opportunity to send them through, and Michelle can start reading stuff for us.
First question came in from Sylvain Barrette. He's asking, can we still buy some Collusion?
Yes, we still have, so with Collusion, and actually with our Semillon, which we'll taste in a subsequent tasting, we like to give those wines a little bit of bottle aging before we release them. Unlike Secret Society and Omerta that get released as quickly as we can after bottling, these wines really do evolve after a year or 2 or 3 in bottle. And again, it's because of the style of wine we're trying to make. If it was just a Sauvignon Blanc that's an aromatic punching bag, that's a good wine for early release. But Semillon is a grape that is really good aged. If you think of some of the more famous Semillons, Hunter Valley from Australia is probably one of the most renowned ones in the world. Those wines don't come into their own until 15 or 20 years of bottle age. I'm not suggesting that Collusion's a 15 or 20 year bottle. It's not designed for that. But it really does build layers of complexity, aromatically speaking and texturally speaking, after a year or 2 or 3 in bottle. So we're still in the 2018 vintage. We'll be bottling our 2019 at some point this summer, and then releasing it in 2021. So yes, there's still 18 available, and it's drinking beautifully right now. And if you actually still have some of our 16 and 17, those ones are hitting their sweet spots right now.
Tyler McRae wants to know, what temperature should Collusion be consumed at?
Good question, actually. Every wine kind of has its sweet spot. Sorry, we've got mosquitoes here already. For Collusion, I would say pull it out of the fridge probably 20 minutes to 30 minutes before you want to drink it. So it's slightly warmer than fridge temperature, maybe that's 7 or 8 degrees. It just helps, it helps lift those aromatics a little bit if it's not quite so cold. And it makes it a little bit more pleasing on the palate.
Karen Chapman wants to know, where do the Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon grapes come from?
So Sauvignon Blanc comes from Naramata Bench. It's in between the city of Penticton and the town of Naramata. So that's on the east side of Okanagan Lake, which gets that later afternoon sun. Our Semillon, that comes from a vineyard in between Oliver and Soyuz, overlooking Dead Man Lake. So that's on the, I guess it's kind of closer to the western side of the valley, so it's protected from the really, really intense late afternoon sun, but it's a beautiful location for ripening the Semillon.
And next question from Dean Duffin, where are the barrels from?
We use actually a combination. Maybe just do a quick little turn of the cameras here. So what you're looking at there is one of our puncheons. We use French oak for Semillon exclusively. Hermitage is one of the cooperages we work with. Back here. So French oak, primarily using Radu and Hermitage barrels. I have done an experiment 1 year with French oak. With American oak, and it was an almost neutral barrel, so it was about the third fill, and it was kind of cool, but it wasn't the right flavor profile for this style of wine. So definitely French oak. For Brent, Rob actually already covered your question about how does the smoke from the fires change the flavor profiles of these grapes, if any, so you'll have to go back and watch. Mick Beale wants to know, what flavor of Old Dutch chips would you pair this wine with? Classy guy, Mick. Maybe like a sour cream and onion, actually. Give that one a try.
Stephanie LeBlanc wants to know if your t-shirt's a branded black market t-shirt.
Oh, you know what? This isn't. This is my favorite work shirt. I like I said, I spent the afternoon in the vineyard today, so I'm not exactly dressed for the occasion tonight. But this is a shirt from Cellartech, which is a company in Kelowna that supplies a lot of our winemaking equipment and our winemaking ingredients. There's an expression that says it takes a lot of good beer to make great wine. So then maybe that's why they made these shirts. Any more questions? That's it? Okay. Well, thank you guys. Let me just maybe do a lead-in quick to the next couple weeks. Our Omerta is officially getting released tomorrow. There's been a few people that have got in on an early availability of this thing, but it's actually officially being released tomorrow. So this will be our tasting for next Thursday. So if you guys want to have some of this wine, please get your orders in. It is not in stores yet. There's a couple stores that have taken delivery, but because of its release date, it's hitting the shelves sort of as we speak. So this is a stunning wine. It's 100% Syrah. Really, really nice, juicy, dry style rosé. And then 2 weeks from now, we're going to be tasting our 2017 Unsanctioned Series Pinot Noir. Maybe I'll just bring these close for you guys quickly here. Is that good? So that's Omerta. And then our Pinot Noir 2 weeks from now. This is a pretty cool wine. This one is only available through the winery. You're not going to find the Pinot Noir in any stores. So if you guys do want to taste along with that one, hop online to our website, blackmarketwine.ca, and get your orders in.
Sarah Moore's just asking, will there be a tasting bundle on the website?
Great question, because there is. So today we worked on, last week I talked about that virtual wine tasting survival kit. So we have laid out the next 6 weeks of tastings and built those into a wine pack. And we're offering free shipping and 10% off the price of that pack. So that includes Omerta, the Pinot Noir, our unsanctioned series Cabernet Franc, unsanctioned series Cabernet Sauvignon, our Conviction Ridge, which is our home state vineyard Pinot Blanc, and Semillon. So 6 wines for the next 6 weeks. I think it's on for about $163 if I'm not mistaken, and that's free shipping. So if you're interested, hop online and get your orders in.
And one last question from Dean Duffin.
Okay.
Any cycling jerseys?
We need to do a reorder of those. We do have cycling jerseys. We made them a couple years ago and they sold out instantly. So we'll definitely have those available for this summer. It's a tough thing to sell on a website, so we were hoping to have them for sale in our tasting room. We don't know if or when that will open, but hopefully June. That's what we're shooting for. Great. Well, thanks everyone. Hope you guys had fun tonight, and we'll see you guys next Thursday, same time, same place. Cheers.